Deputy Marian Harkin.
A few years ago, who would ever have thought that Science Week would generate such energy and such excitement? As a former maths and science teacher, I'm personally excited to see this, mainly because Science Week is primarily about making science fun, accessible and interesting, and crucially, to our young students. Now, of course, earlier we heard the Minister list off the work of his department, and he promised not just to publish the independent review of our PhD research ecosystem, but parallel with its publication, to also publish the action plan to take forward the recommendations of this review. And one area of concern that has been highlighted many times is the current value of the stipends for our PhD students and how pitiful it is at the moment. It is a severe discouragement for any of them to start and continue in a research project. Now, I know the Minister has said that he will deal with it, but he absolutely has to make sure that it's sufficient, because right now it's not even at the level of the living wage. But as well as that, Minister, we need to encourage more and more students to look at career pathways that incorporate some or all of the science subjects. And again, the Minister spoke about the publication, the imminent publication of the Research and Innovation Bill. And we await that to see how this sector can be further resourced and supported. Before I came in, I just had a look at the OECD rankings for R&D and where Ireland fares globally. And if we look at our investment as a percentage of our GDP, out of 90 countries, we are in 38th place. Because our GDP is high, if you look at our expenditure on a per capita level, which is perhaps more realistic, we see we are in 21st place, which is better, but still, if we look at many of our competitors, we see we're way below the likes of Australia, the Netherlands, and we're simply half of the investment in Sweden, in Austria and Switzerland. So there's a lot of work to be made up there. But as I said earlier, Science Week is all about connecting children and ordinary people with no scientific background whatsoever, connecting them to the science that is literally all around us. And we're so lucky in Sligo to have a fabulous science fair at our ATU. It is taking place all of this week until Saturday, when it finishes up. It's organised by the Faculty of Science in ATU Sligo, and it is sponsored by Science Foundation Ireland and the pharmaceutical company AbbVie. And as several colleagues have already said, the theme of this year's festival is human. And it questions how human decisions will impact the future of the world. And of course, this is relevant for every single one of us. And can I just re-echo the words of Deputy Bruton? I think we so much need to encourage more and more students to participate in the Young Scientists exhibition and SciFest. I try to go to it every year if possible. It's one of the most interesting days you can spend, even 2 days. And the excitement that's in the place and the learning is just so positive. And so many more schools and students could benefit from it. But as I said, one of the most interesting things about Science Week is how primary and secondary students are targeted, as it were. And I had a look at the brochure. We're coming to the end of the week, but I had a look at the brochure from the ATU, and there's still some very interesting programmes on. Tomorrow, Friday, in a number of primary schools, there's a programme called MedLab, where they look at how to solder and make working electronic gadgets, everything from musical bagpipes to burglar alarms to lie detectors, etc. Really fascinating stuff for young students. And similarly, there are other programmes in secondary schools. But perhaps the most exciting one, and one that everyone can participate in, is taking place tomorrow night. It's moonwalking in Sligo. It's at 8 p.m. in Slishwood, where there's a moonlight hike on Friday night. The hike under the stars sky, under the starlit sky, will give people an opportunity to learn the wonders of astronomy and what our ancestors thought about the skies. And, interestingly, we're going to discover how Star Wars really originated in Sligo. So I'm certainly looking forward to that, and that's what I call interesting and exciting and making science relevant to all of us. Now, finally, Minister, while I have the floor, I want to reiterate what I've said a number of times, and indeed what was clearly articulated by Maura McNally, who's chair of the ATU governing body at the incorporation of St Angela's into ATU. Minister Harris was present when she referred to the historic underinvestment in capital projects in third-level colleges in the Northern and Western region. And I'm reading here from the Northern and Western Regionals Assembly from their budget submission, where they say, the Higher Education Authority shows their figures that on general capital funding show that Northern and Western regions' higher education institutes collectively continue to receive below average capital investment allocations. It says between 2012 and 2022, the higher education institutes based in the Northern and Western region on average received general capital funding of €238 per undergraduate, while the national figure was €331. So we're €93 ahead for every single graduate enrolled below the national average. Minister, research and innovation is as critical in the Northern and Western region as elsewhere, and I'm asking that it would be adequately funded.
Thank you very much.